Hey friends, welcome to another edition of Big Al's Rockin' Podcast. If you are new to this podcast, I do invite you to subscribe and share. This week I have author Sean Egan, and he's going to discuss the book Bruce Springsteen and Born to Run 50 Years. Now, Sean has contributed to Billboard, Collector or Book Collector, Classic Rock, Record Collector, Uncut, and RollingStone.com, and much more. He's written and edited more than 24 books, including works with the Beatles, Bob Dylan, the Rolling Stones, Small Faces, The Clash, Manchester United, and James Bond. How are you doing, Sean?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm doing great. I just got off of work about 30 minutes ago, so it's even better. So, tell us a little bit about what you cover in this book.
Well, basically, this is the 50th anniversary of Born to Run. Seems a bit unthinkable because it's such a vibrant and young sounding album and still feels very fresh and relevant to this day. But yeah, it's half a century since Bruce released that landmark album. And so basically, this is a book which explores the making of the album and the reception to the album, and it's bookended by the preamble to the album, his career and his childhood beforehand, and then what happened in his career afterwards, because it's always useful to contextualize a landmark like that. And it's a large format illustrated book in a slipcase. In a slipcase is a very handsome artifact. In fact, you can slip it right next to your on the shelf, right next to your vinyl version of the album. They would look pretty good together, I think.
It is definitely a very well put together and high quality material book.
Yeah, that's Motorbooks from Quarto Publishing. They're very good with the photographic research, and it's a high end product.
Recognizing that you've also written various books and articles about other artists, was this book your idea or did the publisher approach you?
Well, I pitched them a few ideas because I know they like celebrating 50 years. That's a good landmark for them, and it gives them a good hook to put the album on. To tell you the truth, I'd have preferred to have written about the river because that's my favourite Bruce album, but that didn't come out until 1980. So maybe in 5 years' time, I'll pitch them that one. But Born to Run is not a bad subject either.
How long did it take you to get from the creative idea to the finished product?
Well, I'm always embarrassed by that question because I am quite a fast writer, and people somehow assume that I'm a hack because of that. But for some reason, I've always been able to write quickly. Hence, you mentioned more than 24 books that I didn't rush through them, but I seem to rack them up. But it would have taken about 6 months. Yeah, you do the research, you write the basic manuscript, and then for me, I just hone and hone, just reread and revise over and over again, and that seems to get me to a marketable product.
As you were researching and interviewing people for this book, did you come across anything that surprised you?
Well, I guess what was surprising was that this really was a last ditch effort by Bruce because he'd released two albums before this, Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey, and The Wild, the Innocent, and the E Street Shuffle. And they were promising albums, but they flopped. And that was particularly embarrassing because his record label, Columbia, had hyped him as the new Dylan, which a lot of people were cursed with that hype in those days. But it was particularly embarrassing for Bruce because he hates hype in all its forms. And so after all that hoopla, to these mediocre sales had left the record company wondering whether they really wanted to continue with him or just to cut their losses. So they said to him, look, we need you to record a single, which was an absurd idea because he was an albums artist. and it was humiliating as well because it was almost like a second audition. But Bruce, fair play to him, he really entered into the spirit. He decided, if I'm going to record a single, it's going to be his own words, the greatest record ever made. And what he did was he delivered unto them the Born to Run record, which is a cast iron classic. I'm talking about the single, not the album at this point. And that really set him and gave him a new lease of life, and it made him up his game as well, because after recording a single like that, you couldn't put it on an album with mediocre songs or merely promising songs, as his first two albums have been comprised of. And so that led to the quality of the Born to Run album.
Well, it's kind of interesting to me because I really didn't know much about Bruce until the mid 80s, around the time Born in the USA come out. So until relatively recently, I'd say in the last 5 years, I didn't even realize that Born to Run had come out in 1975. No idea that it was that old.
Yeah, I mean, it was his breakthrough album. I mean, it really brought him to the attention of a wide audience. You saw he was he made the cover of Times and Newsweek famously in the same week, and the average person on the street would really have sat up and paid attention at a cultural milestone like that. And the thing about Born to Run is that mid 70s, rock and roll had been going for around about 20 years, depending on where you date it from. And people were beginning to think, well, maybe it's run its course, because it did seem that the quality had started to go down, and all the 60s heroes were sort of making tired sounding music. And rock and roll was always supposed to be about youth and rebellion. So people were beginning to think, well, maybe this art form it's got a natural sell by date. And then Bruce delivers Born to Run, and it seemed to revitalize the entire genre. People began to think, well, maybe there is a future in this, and maybe a new generation of rockers will take it on to extend its life. Of course, it didn't quite happen in that way, in the sense that punk was just around the corner. So that sort of changed the tone of what this new revitalization would be. But Bruce certainly played his part in that. I mean, would punk have happened without Born to Run? Because although punk didn't sound quite like Born to Run sounds, because that's a very grandiose album, it's really the start of class-based rock music, because there really weren't that many vignettes of proletarian existence before Born to Run.
Now, obviously, we're not going to discuss everything that's in the book, but is there anything specifically in the book that you would like to draw the listener's attention to?
I think it's very interesting the way that Bruce absolutely changed his writing style with this album. Because if you listen to the songs on the first two albums, they're very florid. Sometimes they're very good, but they just seem absolutely crammed, uncomfortably crammed with words. And when he was thinking of making the Born to Run single a Spectre-esque production, his manager said to him, look, Bruce, in a Phil Spector single, there's only about 20, 30 words, whereas there are hundreds of words in your songs. So if you're going to do that, you've got to change your writing style. And he did it overnight. He wrote the Born to Run single. It's a great lyric, but it's a very spare lyric compared to everything that he'd written before. And he never, after that, really went back to his old style. He remains a great lyricist, of course, but there wasn't any more of that self-conscious Dylan-esque lyric writing after that. He absolutely overhauled the way that he wrote songs.
I'm not a huge Bruce Springsteen fan, but I really appreciate the effort that you put into that book.
Yeah, it was enjoyable just following the was quite a tumultuous journey that he went on. He was almost washed up as he started. He was absolutely broke. He he lost one of his managers during the recording of it. He recruited a new a new producer, a co-producer, who of course also became his manager eventually. That's John Landau, and it was a very bitty process recording that album. He lost a couple of members of the E Street Band, and he recruited two new members. So he had all of that upheaval while he was trying to forge this make or break album. And it was although the album didn't take that long cumulatively to record in terms of sessions, it was over quite a protracted period, and he became more and more obsessive. He wanted organically recorded basic tracks, so one mistake and they had to be re-recorded all over again. And it culminated. He was on tour to promote the as yet unreleased album. He got an acetate of the master tapes in his hotel bedroom. He had a crummy record player to play it on. He listened to it, and he got up, took it off the record deck, and flung it out the window into the swimming pool below. And he was talking about abandoning the whole album at that point. So that gives you an insight into his state of mind at the time. Of course, wiser heads prevailed in the end, and he did present the master tapes to the record label, and the rest is history.
A masterpiece amidst chaos. I love it. Is this book a part of a series either by you or your publisher?
Yeah, it's part of Motorbooks' great album series that they've released a few of them on Quadrophenia. I think there's one coming up this year on A Night at the Opera by Queen, and it's a very nice series actually, because they're very handsomely produced, and it's always interesting to explore the genesis of great albums.
Would you like to mention some of the other books that you have written?
Well, I've done quite a few. The previous one before this was Decade of Dissent, about how Bob Dylan essentially changed music and the entire world in the 1960s, because, of course, music was so important to the culture back then. I've done quite a few. The one before that was about the Small Faces. That was quite a doorstep of a book. It was a Hopefully is the definitive book on the Small Faces. So there's always something new to do, because you always have to pay the rent basically.
We all understand that. So, where can my audience find your book?
It's out on the 23rd, I believe, and it's available at all good bookshops and all physical shops and all good online shops. It's a very mainstream product, and you could say it's kind of deluxe as well, but I think an album like Born to Run deserves the deluxe treatment.
Very good. Well, Sean, I appreciate your time, and I will talk to you again soon.
Hopefully, yep. Nice to talk to you.
Thanks for listening to Big Al's Rockin' Podcast. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe on your preferred podcast outlet. Visit BigAlRocks.com to find past episodes, on-demand links to my radio show, links to my social media, and other Big Al shenanigans. Most importantly, please like and share this episode. Peace out.